And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You're joined today once again with your host, Shawn Gervais from the OrbisX CRM, as well as Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill from the Pints and Polishing Podcast, as well as the hyperClean car care product lineup, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I saw somewhere that something was released.
Were you impressed?
I was very impressed. It's funny. I wanted to drop that, but I was like, no, I'll let him have that. Yeah, I was definitely impressed. Absolutely. Yeah, so obviously I saw it in the group.
Well, you were impressed with my mom's Cadillac? Is that what it was?
Overly impressed. I was
impressed.
Yeah, I was overwhelmed, not just whelmed.
But I wanted to use something a little bit older so we could get that, you could see that transition line of the product, right? Like where it was used and where it wasn't. Like it, and it did such a great job. And you could see and that's what we love. I mean, Impress puts down we've talked about it, puts down a lanolin-based conditioner at the same time as you clean. You can let it sit there and dwell, or you can wipe it off to get, a real light matte sheen. So does a great job. Yeah, it's already doing well in the market. So thanks. No Appreciate you asking. Yeah.
Re-release that. And since then, I have done so much research on lanolin and learned so much about it. I was like, no shit. Well done, Marty, man. So like, tip my hat to you, man. And that's the thing we talked about before, is the fun part of, like product development, right? Like going through that part and, let's try this, let's try that.
That's what cracks me up. Everybody's like, well, we got a the people that have it, they're like, well, we have a chemist. I'm like, well, goddamn, he wasn't smart enough to know that you can't put beeswax in? Like, fuck. He didn't use Google? I mean, fuck, I don't need to be a chemist. I got Uncle Google.
Exactly.
Fucking easy.
So true. I love Uncle Google. Fuck yeah. Senor Google, man. He knows everything, man.
Yeah. Google's smarter than your chemist. I know that. Fuck.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those things, where you kind of need to know a little bit about, like, if you're going to do something. There's some people, I'm trying to remember the term they use, where it's a business owner that it's like a silent investor, but they're just from a distance in the business. They don't really know anything about it. And so they just hire an expert, or what they find is to be an expert. And they're just like, yeah, it's in your hands. You know what I mean? But they don't know any of the basics or anything around it. So like everything I've ever done, all my businesses, everything, I always have to dive in a little bit. My goal is always have other people do it, but I need to have a fairly good understanding of what's going on, or else it's you end up trusting someone you think you do, but also then you're super reliant on that person if you don't know jack shit about anything. But yeah, in this case, that's where hats off to you, man, for doing your research on that stuff, and it shows in your product 100%. So I was definitely impressed with that video. That's so see, I got to use it now. Absolutely, man. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I can't wait till Tuesday, man. I gotta ask him about it. But wicked, man. So celebrations to that. Cheers. Salud, community.
Community. All right, so today I had one more of these. I've been trying not to drink them.
Okay.
From Fossil Cove Brewing. They're out of Arkansas. So I got it back when I was in Arkansas a couple months ago. I was like, you know what? I'll drink it. It's Jurassic Haze, but I did something which kind of saves the beer and also makes it kind of odd at the same time. I put in, this is one of our favorite beers. It's a Radler. For those of you who don't know, Radler's basically just a general lager, right? Just general beer, but then they mix in some type of juice. And normally it's, like for here, they did grapefruit, right? So a lot of people use lemonade or something like that. And that was what creates a Radler. Super, super easy to drink. Like
beautiful.
Radlers are summer drinks. They're especially if you've been out, working or riding your bike, doing something, getting a sweat. Boy, a Radler's awesome to drink. They're really great. So Stiegel is one that we get whenever we go. Well, because it's German, so we'll go and we'll get the picanha. We'll get some meat from the butcher, and then they carry them. So we always take some there. So I had some. I was like, okay, I'm gonna mix that Radler with this, and maybe I can choke down the beer.
You're like, before that, it tasted like T-Rex piss.
It's terrible beer. Terrible.
Oh man, that's brutal. It's funny that reminds me. This weekend, we had picked up something because I was in Montreal, I was in Quebec, and they sell at the corner stores there. But here, the province I'm in, they actually don't sell at corner stores. Only the grocery stores. Some of them you can get wine, things like that. But other than that, you have to go to a very specific liquor store. That's it. So anyway, Montreal, they sell it everywhere, corner stores. They call them couche-tards, but in the couche-tard, they only have a certain selection of stuff, and a lot of what they have is those I don't know what they are. They're like like the vodka, like the fizzy ones, like those. They'll have stuff like that. But they had this brand. It's a new brand. It's local, but I don't remember the name. I got the cans upstairs. Anyway, they had some different flavors in a variety pack, and so I was like, oh, let's get that. And what struck my eye was they had a passion fruit one. I love passion fruit. However, when it comes to certain beverages, there's some juices that just don't mix well. And especially if I didn't check the can, but I'm sure it's artificial flavors of some kind in there. And there's certain fruits that you just can't really, they don't turn out well artificially, I find. Like cherry for me, that's one I find they don't do a very good job of.
Grape,
Grape,
don't do grape. Orange. I know people love orange soda. Hate it.
Yeah.
Hate orange soda, like Crush and stuff like that. Nah. Sunny D. Nah, that shit ain't much juice. Get that out of here. Come on.
Syrup. Exactly. And in this case, the passion fruit one, I was so excited. The weather was nice. There was a little bit of a breeze, but not too much. The sun was out. It was hot. It was nice. Went to this party, and anyway, I cracked open the passion fruit one, and it literally tasted like I was drinking metal with fizzy bubbles. It was disgusting. It was terrible. So I begrudgingly finished it. But then after that, I took the one that my wife had, which was watermelon. And watermelon, I find you can almost mix that with anything. It just tastes good for me, anyways. It's just solid. It's reliable.
I'm in on watermelon. Absolutely.
Yeah. The next one I had, it was just so good. And so I said, well, what am I going to do? The variety pack. I sold 4 more of the passion fruit ones. So I did a similar type thing. I mixed the two together, but I was trying to do the right kind of like ratio to see what it would taste. So I found it out. It's 3-1. If you ever get the passion fruit one that tastes like shit, 3-1 with watermelon, you're good to go. So
you're only 4 drinks in on this point before you figure it out. So I don't know, man.
Maybe it was just time.
Did you have some alcoholic goggles on at that point in time? Were your taste buds a little they were a little warmed up at that point, right?
Yes, on the last one I forgot to mix it and I was like, this is delicious. Exactly. But that's nice. You found the mixture. And then me today, I'm drinking a classic Negroni, and it's really nice. And I got my my new Aviation Gin, which used to be Ryan Reynolds' company, and so Ryan Reynolds, Canadian, have to support. But he sold it for a large sum of money, something like $600 million or something crazy like that. But and now they've pulled it back in for the commercials and stuff like that. So well done. Hats off to him, fellow Canadian. There we go, fellow Canuck.
So what else do you do this weekend?
It was delicious. This weekend, so we went up to Montreal. We went up. It was nephew's birthday, so we went up for that. But then we decided to go to Poutine Fest that was there. You know what poutine is?
No, it sounds like something you get in a little metal container, and it smells like ass.
Yeah, sometimes. So it's basically French fries, gravy, and cheese curds. That's the combination. And so we have a lot of cheese factories here, tons of them. There's, especially in the Quebec side, lots of different places to get cheese curds. There's competitions every year on who makes the best cheese curds, and then there's competitions on who makes the best poutine as a result, right? So we have these, festivals everywhere. We do the normal ones too, like, Rib Fest and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes they combine the two. But what I find's happened here, because like Rib Fest stays true to what it is. It's just who makes the best ribs. There's different rubs, different sauces, all kinds of stuff, but they don't go too crazy with it. With poutine, the problem is you can go crazy with the toppings. So normally there'll be, traditional poutine, and then you can add different toppings. You can make it like a Tex-Mex, add corn and all kinds of stuff. But this particular place, I don't know why, but every single vendor decided to go way over the top. They were adding, man, you couldn't even find a normal poutine. It was just, there was like General Tao poutine, there was poutine with lobster, there was all this like crazy stuff, but there was no just cheese, gravy, fries. That's what I'm here for. That's what I want. There was none of that. You had to choose from an assortment of these weird toppings. One of them had meatballs in it. I don't know. It was really strange, but they had the most amazing churros there. Oh my God. Not sure if you're a fan of churros. Oh man, love me some churros, especially when they're done right, And but there was this little booth at the very end, and we went there. We got some churros. The prices were kind of outrageous, but Hey, man, what can you do? You know, the kids wanted churros, we get churros. But so me, I tried the Tex-Mex poutine. It was atrocious. My stomach hurt for like 2 hours after. It was so bad. But yeah, and then or maybe it was the passion fruit stuff. I don't know. It was there's a lot going on in my stomach that day. But it was fun. Got together with family, everything, so that was nice. And met up with my brother-in-law, and he helps with the support for OrbisX. So that was nice. We got to chat it up about work, but then at the same time, spend some time with the family and everything. So that was cool. But yeah, it was a nice weekend. But and the churros were to die for, man. And, but yeah, so that was pretty
Better
much
than
it.
Taco Bell? Are you sure?
Yeah, most things are. Most
True.
things are. Yeah.
Hey, so last time we talked about things that somebody needs to do when they're starting off, and it's really great that we did that, because literally a couple days later, I had somebody that reached out to me and were like, "Hey, I'm starting my business. Well, what should I do?"
Perfect.
Send them
Got
that
the
link,
perfect video for you.
right?
Exactly.
Like, here you go,
Yeah.
man. This is what you need to do. Make sure you listen to this. Go sign up for OrbisX. I said, hey, make sure you get Aaron to do your stuff for you. Like, just let it
Yeah.
all grow, man. Like, sign up for OrbisX, listen to these, podcasts, and that is really what you must do
The
to start
formula.
off,
Yeah,
right?
like
There
that's
was,
the
yeah, there was really nothing else that I sent him. That was it, right? But
yeah.
I'm curious because, after somebody starts, most people, right? Like, most people go heavy into the marketing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I need customers. So they really focus on the marketing. But there's a feature that I think you love really is what, number two? Was it the second favorite feature that
Yeah.
you have, or is it the first favorite? But explain the feature and why you love it so much. And I am fascinated by it, and I love why you love it, because I said that where we most really think of how do I go get more customers, which is what you need to do. Few people really think about how do I make sure that the work that I do now to get the customers, right, I don't
It's
have
tough.
to keep doing. Because
Yeah.
as you grow in business, you learn that, well, to get a customer cost X amount,
Mhm.
right? To keep a customer always costs less than said
100%.
X amount, whether
100%.
that's financially, whether that's energy, teamwork, whatever. It always is less to keep a customer than it is to get a new customer. So, what is this feature that we should love so much inside of OrbisX to keeping around customers?
100%. And it's one of the automation tools. So it's the post-service follow-ups. And it's one of my favorite features that we have in OrbisX. And it was built on purpose to follow our sales structure, because you're absolutely right. It's one of those things where, like we spent a lot in the beginning to acquire customers, but then our ad costs went down over time. And that's the goal, right? Obviously, you want to spend less to get the same or more customers. But the reason it went down was we were still pulling in the same amount of customers, but we were growing so much because we were maintaining such great relationships with our current customers. And that had to do with, obviously the front end process, following up with the customer, reminders, booking notices, upsells, all that stuff. But really, the magic happens once the work is done. They've picked up their car, they leave. Our goal is get them back in sooner, get them back in more often, and get them back with their friends or their wife's car or whatever the case may be. That all comes down to building that relationship and nurturing that out. And that's where the automation in OrbisX with the post-service follow-ups really harnesses that power for you and reaches out to your past customers. And the beauty about post-service stuff is it doesn't always have to be salesy. So you don't have to, worry about writing incredible sales copy. And in fact, not everyone should be salesy. So a good example is, ceramic coatings, following up about, maintenances, maintenance washes, things like that, but also following up about, even just to check in, like, how are you liking your new coating? You must be, ecstatic. Can you send us some photos of your car after you've washed it at home? Things like that. And then other things too, like we do tinting. So we follow up, you know, after a couple of days, we let them know, hey, it's time to roll your windows down. So that's a quick follow-up for them. Then we have a 30-day one. We follow up and say, hey, did you notice if there's any, you know, bubbles or imperfections you want us to take a look at? You can come back into the shop. A lot of tinters are scared of that process because they're like, no, tinted the vehicle, you're gone, that's it, right? I actually embrace it. And my staff, man, they were resistant at first because for them, it meant possibly having their defects brought to the forefront. It also meant possibly having to redo work, you know, things like this. They didn't want to spend the time on it until through our team meetings, I explained to them, I said, look at the process. You guys get paid per hour to do, you know, the tinting and stuff, but you also get paid for upsells. What are the odds that guy's going to want to drive down just to fix one window that maybe has a couple bubbles in it without getting something else done, right? He's going to want to make that trip worth his while in a major way. So that's our opportunity to upsell him detailing or say, hey, listen, last time you were here, you only had time to get your windows tinted. While we're fixing that one window, we got to wash the car and everything anyways. Why don't we throw a 1 year on there? You know what I mean? So now we get them for the coating and the upsell. So for me, all of the post-service follow-ups are a terrific opportunity to sell. So that's where following up the customer, giving information-based things, touch points at different intervals, as well as sales touch points as well through the process, you're gonna see massive growth. And that's where, for me, full-service follow-ups, and they're so easy to set up. One afternoon, you could have 5 or 6, 10 of them set up, and then the system just does the rest for you. That's phenomenal. That's the best use of an afternoon, in my opinion. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so why is it your favorite though? I know you mentioned you love post-service follow-ups as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that was such a great feature inside of OrbisX, but the reason why I love it is because of what I kind of said earlier is people don't really realize how much it costs to gain a new customer and how much easier it is to maintain a customer.
Yeah.
It also that was really became relevant and prevalent with the ceramic coating boom, right? It wasn't ever about how do I maintain these customers? We actually, even which I've joked on this podcast, I've joked on my podcast. It's fucking hilarious that you'd have a guy that made it to TV, but on a podcast was telling people, don't do maintenance, don't do detailing, only do coatings and corrections. And he bragged about he would send people with regular type of work over across the street.
Yeah.
Fucking idiot. Right? Like, that's why we didn't realize later until he made a TV, he actually has a partner, right? Like, oh, he's the guy that's actually in charge of making sure that you guys do things that are good for business, right? Like, but there's another podcast that really bragged about this guy and put him out as like he was some big stud. And it's like, God damn, the guy makes some really stupid decisions. And I grew my business completely off of maintenance. I grew my chemical business completely off of return business. I mean, that's what maintenance is somebody that keeps coming back into your business to maintain that relationship because you had given them something, whether that was a service or a product that met their need. It solved their problem. And so they wanted to have that problem solved on a regular basis.
100%.
Sounds a lot better for businget than it does
big
one
time.
and done. Thank you, ma'am. Right? Like, I mean, that was fun in your 20s, but you get in your 40s, you don't want to one and done them. You'd really like to have them back the next night. Like, it just kind of gets funny that way, Like,
100%. And I can't think of many businesses where you'd want to just have a customer one time and then see you later. Like
you only saw that in the ceramic coating boom so many people were like, oh, I got to be a correction and coating specialist. I've got to go be with this company because they're going to give me a territory and I'm going to be the specialist for this area. And I'm going to be the only one doing correction and coating.
Yeah, exactly. That one always killed me too, where like you own a zone kind of thing. Oh my God. But yeah, that's the quickest way to kill your business ultimately, because you're always going to be fishing, number one, and your sales process is going to be so sluggish because every single transaction is the longest transaction any business can ever go through. It's almost like what would be a good example? Like in a marriage, for example, you go on date night, Date night for you is probably really simple. Date night for me is really simple because I don't have to spend the whole night convincing my wife that I'm a funny guy or I'm an awesome person or this and that. Like if it's our first date, we get to just go and enjoy the moment. But I think that when you're in business and you're chasing all the time, every single conversation is a first date, and so it's always so much more lengthy. And the time it takes to convince them you're the right choice, they should open up their wallet and spend it with you, versus they've already been here before, they know what they're looking for, it's your opportunity to upsell them things. I think you're going to see a lot more higher tickets and a lot more frequency if you're going after your existing target market. And that's where, for me, repeat business is huge. And that's where one feature that like OrbisX has always had since day one that none of the other CRMs have, and I'm really shocked none of them focused on it, is the automation of the repeat business cycle. So we've always had the AR marketing that reaches out automatically for you and, just pings customers. It takes a look at their profile and says, oh, Marty likes to book on Tuesday afternoons, looks ahead in the schedule. Hey, we've got a Tuesday afternoon that's free 2 weeks from now. Reaches out and says, hey, Marty, we know you like to book on Tuesdays. We've got an open spot for you, and it's for the exact maintenance service that you like to get all the time. How would you like to book that slot? Like, that's an amazing feature to have, and takes you minutes to set up, and then it just runs on autopilot. Costs you so much less than your Facebook ads, your Google ads, where you're targeting a brand new customer, trying to convince them, do business with us, do business with us. And that's where you really got to get into the mindset of not this one and done, this how can I converse with this customer regularly and get them back in the door? So for me, post-service follow-up wins every time, because other features are great, like the reviews. I mentioned this before. I love the review feature. That's a huge one. Our shop's now 1,200 plus 5-star reviews, which is awesome. But that's a very selfish goal. That's things that I want to do, for the business, makes us look good. But what makes us look even better is how we look on paper and when we're financially sound, because we're reaching out to past customers. So that's why the post-service follow-ups is my number one favorite feature.
Cool.
Absolutely. Yeah,
all right,
man.
I like it. You want to get into some tips? Huh? You want to get into some tips?
I do want to get into some tips. Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's get into a tip. All right. You got a bouquet or you just got one?
I got one that might lead into a bouquet. We'll see how it goes. No, I got one. I got one.
Okay. I'll go then. So
all right.
if you got a bouquet, I'd let you go. But
I'm trying to downsize here. That's what I'm trying to do. I got to save them for future episodes.
I mean, that's basically what a tip is, right? Downsize, just
Yeah. That's true. I downsized the whole enchilada. Put it that way. The whole churro. But Jesus.
All right. So my tip is, and I've said it before, do you tip?
Yeah.
Right? Remember that? I talked about the need for people to actually tip.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you there's still plenty of our listeners that they're cheap as fuck and they don't tip.
They'll want tips, but giving them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to ask that question again. Do you tip? And I'm going to give it a little bit more of a tip, right? Here we go. Right.
Put it a little, yeah. Double tip.
So I'm fascinated with the people that want to know, right? Like, what suggestions do you have to gain customers? What should I do? And then I'll go and look at their social media. And I'm just like, okay, let's go back to the thing where I said, if you got a lot of flies around, then that means your marketing's a pile of shit, right? Like, I look at it and I just go, where's the originality? Where's anything? Like, where's something that would get me to latch on to you? Right? Because if you're going to be trying to, let's think of it as fishing, right? Like, if you're going to fish, you got to have a lure that attracts the fish. Same as in marketing and same as in your videos and all that type of stuff. So the tip is, do you tip? And I don't mean the guy that winks at people and it's like, hey, here's your tip, right? No, that's bad. That's really bad. Remember, if somebody winks at you, you should never trust them, ever. Or the people that he does business with. Okay? So don't do it. Stay with a true face, smile, talk to people. Don't give some weird, like you're going to be something that, right? So put yourself out there, give a tip, but don't be shady around it. Don't be that guy.
Mm.
Now, here's where people are going to go, yeah, man, I'm not getting on camera. Okay. No worries.
Some
You
people are
don't
worried about
have
it.
to
But,
get on camera. What about the mom van that came in that you saw a problem that somebody had? You met the need of that problem.
mm,
Got to find a way to give a tip, a suggestion of how people could take care of their mom van when they
mm.
don't use you. Or, right? It's not just stay there, right? You could go into all kinds of different things. I love, apologies. There's a guy that I watch, and I just watch him when he comes across my Instagram
Mm-hmm.
because I really enjoy what he does. He's just working on a car, right? And you'll see the camera, and I call the guy and I talk to him. So listen, you might need to also invest. Yeah, right.
People
Like
don't like
you
that
might
word.
need to pay
Yeah.
somebody if that's on your team or if that's paying somebody to come in. But you know what? He's just working. And then he just starts telling a story. And that
Mm.
story revolves into something. Okay. Tips don't necessarily have to be just information. Tips can be funny. Tips can
That's
be
true.
laughable, right? I mean, you can talk about the disgusting stuff. Now, there's some videos where you watch people just go over dramatic, right? Like, and it's how
Yeah.
disgusting this car is. Now, I mean, those are fun for a little bit, but overall, they don't do anything to my psyche. They don't even do anything to me at my core that makes me want to grab a lure, right? Like, I'll
True.
watch something like that for a little bit. But the average person, especially the customer that you're going to want to grab their attention, they don't have a nasty vehicle like that. That's not the customer that you want to go after, right? You
That's
want
true.
to go after more of that dentist or a lawyer or a realtor or somebody that's climbed up the scale a little bit, or go into an office complex and work with people that have grown into their, they're running their business, whether that's they're a salesman or they are a manager, right? There's all kinds of people that
Mm.
have a place in their business and they're doing well. How do you get their attention? What tip would you be able to give them? Fuck, how hilarious would it be to start giving out random bad stock tips? Okay, right? Like there's a
That's
different
good,
things
actually.
that we could all start to come up with, right? Could your tip be humor? Could it
Yeah.
be gross? Could it be, hey, look at this awesome car, and you start talking about the car and you grab their attention about the car and what
Mm-hmm.
then maybe you did on it. But I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a commercial that goes around on Instagram and some of these where it's got a guy kind of yelling at the, hey, you're focusing too much on the product, right?
Yeah,
And
I've seen that.
it's
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
those. So you got to think of the same thing, right? Don't
Yeah.
don't focus too much on you and what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but focus on a tip. Give some humor, give a suggestion, talk about the golf or the weather, right? Something to grab their attention, just the same as we said with the lure and a fish, but then to keep them always ingesting and always coming back, you do have to give some valuable information here. So,
Yeah. You know
what
what?
is that information? Listen, I could tell you,
Sky's the
but then you're
limit.
going to have to
Yeah.
pay me,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's much better if you come up with it on your own, where you
100%.
understand your customers, you understand their needs, you understand
Yeah,
problems that you're dealing with, you help people's problems and then document that moment. That's a tip. It
it's
really
true.
is. And then you come up with different ways to help discuss that. But 100%, as we continue to move forward in an economy where people are struggling and starting to have some questions, absolutely, those people that meet other people's needs and solve their problems, they will
Mm-hmm.
always succeed even through tough times. So solve some problems, give some tips, have some humor, give some fun. Don't just do the same
Absolutely.
thing over and over and over. And here's a shot, here's a car, here's right? Like you
Yeah.
got to get
And
into
it's
it
the
now. Let's
same thing
go.
that everyone else is going to do. And I always look at things like if your advertisements, if your ad copy or ad video, whatever it is, take you very little time and effort to put together, just keep that in mind that that's going to be the same process anybody else can go through. So replicating is going to be really easy to do. So do you think you're going to stand out? And the answer is usually no, right? So, like, imagine, to give an example of what someone could do using your tip would be, could be something like, there's a gas station not far from my house. Every Thursday, not sure why, but they reduced the price 3 cents, for every liter. So we use liters here because we're awesome. But no, shots fired. But so they reduced the price 3 cents every Thursday. They have this like special thing going on, whatever. They're not a franchise, so they can do whatever they want with their pricing. So anyway, they reduce it down. It could be something like, a top 10 thing, like, hey, looking for the cheapest gas on, in town, go here on a Thursday. Looking for the best Chinese food, go here. Looking for the this, that, and then you throw in your own thing. Looking for the best place to get a, quick maintenance wash before date night, go here, stuff like that. So you can do things like that. But then to throw in the humor side, you could even do the opposite of that, where you would say like, hey, looking for the best place to wait in line, go here, and then show a super long line and this and that, and be like, or you could skip all that and instead get your car detailed, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So there's ways of introducing that humor, and that's to get the creative juices flowing. But you're absolutely right. If you want some concrete ideas on how to do it, you gotta, stroke a check with a couple commas for me and Marty, and we'll do it all for you, no problem. That was a couple commas, not one. But and we're not counting bills like the French do. They replace the decimal point with a comma. So the cents, it's a comma, and then
French. Pretty soon, those French Canadians will
I know.
follow suit, and it'll be like,
Oh, it's already
we're doing it
happening,
here
right?
because we're
Yeah,
French
yeah.
Canadians. Like,
Oh, they do it there. Already happening. Plus a lot worse. But
oh, trust me, I
but
get it.
oh yeah, it's bad. We have a language police here. Did you know that? That's an actual thing. There's language police that. So here's a tip: if you're going to start a business in Quebec, be prepared, because you're going to have to have everything.
I have 2 tips, one in each
Both
language.
languages. Yeah, one in each language. Exactly. The double tip. I don't know how they'd say it. But yeah, I should speak more French though. Anyway, that aside, so I do have a tip today. My tip has to do with accuracy. So my word of the day, word of the week, is accuracy. And I've been talking with my team about it, how we can be more accurate in business. And accurate, a lot of people think it means, just like hitting a target or being perfect, right? To me, accuracy is a process. So accuracy is us setting up things that make us more efficient, and having a standard that we work towards to either meet or exceed. So it's a process. It's not necessarily focusing on the final destination, but the process. And my staff at my shop, they know I've built OrbisX, so they assume that anytime there's a little thing that they don't want to do, they'll say like, hey, maybe you could code this, and then it could just do that for us. And so I've always stressed the importance of, listen, technology is amazing. It can help optimize and push your business to new heights, but the human experience, there's something that just humans are able to figure out, to, like, we have to play a part and a role in. And so every step of the way, we optimize as much as we can while injecting human interaction. And so to give you an example of this, so we've all used GPS, and where do we get the GPS signal from? Well, we get it from the satellites, right? So there's this thing though with the satellites and time that makes them less accurate. Makes it less accurate for us because the time in space is different from the time on Earth, which is a pretty crazy concept. You think time is time, right? 1 minute is 1 minute, but 1 minute in space is different than 1 minute on Earth. And so there's a geosynchronous process, basically, is what's called, where in orbit, the satellites that are there, their clocks are actually ticking faster than the clocks on Earth. So if you have a watch up there, time is sped up, basically. So when the satellites go and look down and calculate a route, and they send that information, they might say between point A and point B is 17 minutes. But that's because it's space time. On Earth, the time is actually 22 minutes, let's say. But it wouldn't be very good or user-friendly if we said, hey, your approximate time to your destination is give or take 17 minutes, but it might be 25. It's not going to help you out very much, right? So how do we get them very accurate? And it's by using Einstein's formula there, the E equals mc squared, and the theory of relativity, that time and space is relative to being in space, and time on Earth is relative to being on Earth. And so human interaction, human correction, rather, fixes that. We account for that difference. And so that's how we get very accurate results on Earth, is that we interject between technology because of the limitations, and we make it that much more accurate before it gets to you, which is a pretty crazy concept, you know? Real quick side note to further blow your mind is that a star, because photons travel at the speed of light, if you were a photon of light and you had a watch on, your watch wouldn't tick at all, which is wild. And so when a star explodes, the same moment that it's, you know, let's say you're looking through a telescope and you see a star, that light traveled 30,000 years to get to your telescope, but that's on our time. Whereas in space, when that star explodes, the same minute it explodes and the same minute that the photons are released is the exact same instant that it hits your telescope, which is crazy. So it's like in that same instant, but yet us on Earth, 30,000 years passed, right? So time is a very funny thing, but the most important thing is us being able to account for that time differential, to use our brains and say, okay, technology can get us to a certain point, but then by us putting ourselves in there, we can correct anything that's a limit, and we can actually make something more accurate. So when it comes to your business, you can use something like OrbisX to automate your business, to streamline your business, all of these things, but you still have to play a role so that you can make things more accurate. You can make things better, and you can ensure that your efficiency and proficiency are there. And so how do we do that at OrbisX? Going back to the post-service follow-ups, for example, we just updated a feature. So we have the post-service follow-ups, automates all your follow-ups. You can set how many days after a service is marked complete to follow up, and what services to target, and what message to send, so on and so forth. That's all great, but it's still missing that human component. It's still a message from a computer until we step in, because you can automate it and make it personalized and put their name and make it look like it didn't come from a computer. But at the end of the day, the customer still knows I'm reading this on my computer, my telephone, or whatever the case may be. There's still technology in the way of you and the customer. And so by stepping in and overcoming that limit, you can now correct that limit, and you can inject human personality into it by following up with your customer. And so if you go into OrbisX and you go in the marketing tab and post-service follow-ups, you'll see a little button that says upcoming post-service follow-ups. And it's going to give you a breakdown over the next 7 days in the future of which post-service follow-ups are going out to which customers. So then you can pick up the phone, you can take 5 minutes out of your day, and you can build some solid relationships. And so maybe you piggyback on Marty's side and you offer them a tip, maybe just a little information. Say, hey, just following up, I know you just had your car ceramic coated, and did you know that the best thing to do is, you know, book an appointment 6 months after and come see us for a maintenance wash, or, you know, your first one, or maybe at 30 days, or whatever the case is that you guys want to do. But if you inject yourself into the equation, you're going to be able to upsell and close those processes, close those deals, while giving them a tip or giving them some information. And that's where you can play around with different marketing messages that you can then now use for complete strangers as well. So see what works well when you're talking to your customer, because you have a real world example right there. So that's what we do, and that's how we make such good ads that perform so well for strangers, is we talk to our past customers on those follow-ups. And we say, hey, listen, you know, how was the service? How was this, that, you know, and we try out different sales pitches and we refine them so that human correction can overcome any limitations from computers and technology. Yeah, there we go. See? Time space continuum, baby. Rock on. Look at that. I gave a time tip.
Yeah, well, I was trying to remember what movie that was where they would go down to a planet and they're trying to do something. Was that, who was it? And then they would sit down there trying to get research, and every time they were there, it would take them too long, and time on Earth was longer. And, you know, they eventually, I'll butcher it, but
I think I know what you mean. And it kept repeating itself. Like they had to go there and complete it within a certain time frame, right? But then yeah. Oh man, I know. I want to throw out some names, but I'm going to butcher it too. Oh, you know what? It's one of those things that's going to like just fucking hit me. I'll be like driving to the store and I'm like, oh shit, you know, it's the Fifth Element or something. You know, obviously it wasn't that, but it's gonna hit me.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, well, people can let us know whenever you post it into the group. Somebody can go in and comment on what that movie is.
Be like, that's the movie. Yeah,
hey, they might get a cup out of it, you know.
Hey, who knows? Absolutely. Yeah.
Or some impress. We'll figure it out.
Or maybe I'll send them some NFC cards. Just printed some for one of our members. So we got a box shipping out. There we go. Yeah, so we got some gift cards, and these are pretty cool because OrbisX is the first detailing CRM to bridge the gap between the physical world and the digital world. Everybody else has cute little gift card forms that you can put on your website. That's nice. Sometimes you want to sell some physical shit, and people can give, you know, instead of I printed this on my computer, you know what I mean? And here, this is your Christmas gift. Sometimes you want to give them something, and it's a great takeaway. You can put it right in your cash. And the beautiful thing is, you open up the OrbisX app. We have a tap that app. That's what it's called, and you can tap it, and you can even program them. So the cool part is too, one-time investment. So he's getting his 50 cards shipped out, one-time investment, and then he can reprogram them when they're brought back in, which is basically you turn a gift card into a gift card is what I call it. So someone redeems a gift card and you say, hey, this is the gift that keeps on giving. Why don't we reload this baby up? You must know someone that's got a birthday or an anniversary or something coming up. So it's just a constant sales cycle. And once again, reselling to your existing customers. See, there's many ways to do it. And with OrbisX, it's the only way to make it possible. Absolutely. I feel like that needs to be a tagline or something. With OrbisX, it's the only way to make it possible. I like it. See? Yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna coin that. There we go. That's awesome. Well, listen, see, I stopped at one tip today. You know, piggybacked on a tip of you were a little more than a tip. That was a little, you know, yeah. I felt a little more. I had goosebumps. Too much. All right. Anyway, see what happens.
Yeah, I don't want to hear what you felt about my tip.
Yeah. It touched me deeply. That's what. You're like, God. All right. Anyway, listen. Thanks, Marty. I appreciate you, brother. I'll see you next week. And everybody, check out Marty's podcast, obviously, as well, and the new products that have launched. If you want to be impressed, see what I did there? Full circle. That's what I did. I mean, it wasn't very different. Anyways, all right. Appreciate you, Marty. I'll see you next week. All right, everybody. And someone, if you know that movie, please post it. You will definitely win something. I got something for you. Absolutely. Because that's going to rack my brains all week. All right, man. We'll see you next week. All right. Cheers.